Welcome to Veteran State of Mind. I'm your host, Geraint Jones, back with another fantastic guest for you. You're welcome. You're welcome, noble listeners. It's a pleasure and an honour to be able to do this for you. I want to be able to do it without the help of the Royal British Legion. Big ups to them. Thank you so much, Royal British Legion, for doing what you do. Thank you for bringing awareness to battles and campaigns that might otherwise be forgotten. Campaigns like the war in the East and the Italian campaign, the so-called D-Day Dodgers. We don't believe they were D-Day Dodgers. Fucking hell. It's a hard word to say, and that just goes to show we don't believe in it at all. No D-Day Dodger. No D-Day Dodgering going on here, right? We respect and we thank all veterans of Great Britain and her allies and all of that stuff. We fucking love you guys. You guys. You know what? Actually, talking to the old and bold, I want to give a big shout out. I want to give a big shout out to the veterans who are listening with Paul. I know you guys tune in the care home. I want to say thank you. Thank you for coming along. The old and bold. You were on the front gate when we were on the Cowan gate. We really appreciate having you all along with us. Thank you so much for leading the way, for giving us a path to follow on behind. You guys are fucking legends, and I'm glad that you're listening. It was a real honour to hear that. So cheers, and don't give Paul too much of a hard time at work. All right. Who we got on today's podcast? No, wait, before that, hang on, you don't get the podcast yet, you young ones and you older ones, you don't get it yet. First of all, we have to go through what's called capitalism, right? And as part of today's capitalism, we have some sponsors and they make the podcast happen. None more or less so than Camouflage, spelt with a K. Camouflage is a specialist surveillance and investigations company. A brand you can rely on for their professionalism, integrity, and quality of work at all levels. Not only do they get amongst it, but Camouflage are stockists of specialised surveillance, not just any old surveillance, specialised surveillance, outdoor clothing and equipment and more from the likes of Lawmate, Yukon, TRC Outdoors, and Lumine Designs. They also have a service for bespoke handmade ghillie suits and vehicle tracking systems. Right now, Camouflage and Lumine are working on some mega alley tactical gear. I've seen what they've got on their site. You can see it too. Go to @Camouflage Limited. Remember, Camouflage spelled with a K, Limited Ltd. You're welcome. Warren Buffett told me that one. @camouflage.co.uk, also with a K. Check them out, look at their alley gear, purchase some alley gear, become more alley yourself. And if you need someone to get in a bush and have a look at stuff, Camouflage are your guys, so go check them out. And a big thank you to Frontier Risks Group, home of the world's leading practical training course in security risk management consultancy. Frontier Risks Group is an amalgamation of a number of leading companies in their fields, guided by a team who have equal experience and expertise in their respective domains. From security and crisis management, corporate risk, intelligence and analysis, compliance, workplace investigation, trauma response, and training consultancy. If you are a veteran, or if you will be transitioning out of the military, then you need to check these guys out, regardless of your rank or background. Why? Because they will put you on their mega course, and then you can go and work at a company like BBC, CNN, Deloitte, BAE Systems, Apple, many more, including travel expert companies. So basically, to summarise what I've just been saying, if you want to get involved in the world of security, go and see Frontier Risks Group. They're going to sort you out. You can check them out at frontierrisks.com. That's frontierrisks.com, or at Frontier Risks Group on the social media. I don't think they have a TikTok though, youngsters, so you might have to get onto Instagram. But thank you, Frontier Risks Group, and thank you, Zulu Alpha Strap Company. Bombers watch straps for alley blokes. Zulu Alpha Straps is a veteran-owned company who know how important it is to be in the right place at the right time and looking bloody good when you get there. If you spend the money on a nice watch, you want to keep it where it belongs, on your wrist, IEDs notwithstanding. Zulu Alpha watch straps, as far as I know, do not come with an IED guarantee. But they might be working on that. I don't know. I'm just going to assume that they are. But you got a nice watch. Keep it on your wrist as much as possible with a lovely Zulu Alpha strap. They're fantastic. They got lovely pictures. They got lovely videos. Where can you watch them? You can watch them at Zulu Alpha Straps. One word. Tell them that I sent you. Slip into their cheeky DMs, right? Slip in there. Let them know that Gers sent you. And you never know. They might give you some stuff for free. They won't do, but, never hurts to ask, does it? Go in there, have a chat with them, and secure yourself a nice strap for securing your watch at Zulu Alpha Straps. Check them out. Right. Today's guest, he is mighty fine, and he is also mighty inspiring. He is a veteran of the rifles, and he was, well, you know what? I tried to record this episode not giving away what had happened to him, but we keep slipping it up, so I might as well give it away from the beginning. He's a double amputee, lost both of his legs, and you know what he hasn't lost is his fucking attitude of being a winner, his attitude of being a dominator. He's an absolutely inspiring motherfucker is what he is. I really enjoyed these conversations. In fact, we enjoyed the conversation so much that I begged him to come back and do round 2. So we're going to have that out on Monday. So this is going out on the Thursday, and he's coming back in so that we can do another one and get that. We'll have that one out for you on the Monday. You know what? We're going to have to do another one after that because this guy is he is incredibly inspiring. So let's hear from him, shall we? Mr. Justin Oliver Davis. Justin, welcome to the podcast, mate. Long-awaited guest.
Thank you, mate. It's been a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, I was just saying off camera, and then I'm glad you're here. Because, we use this app to get people booked in now. So until the weekend, I lose track of who's coming on in the week. So I looked earlier, and I was like, oh, awesome. Justin's coming on. I was like, good, I need a bit of inspiration. I'm sure a lot of people do though, mate, because I think people have been flat. People have been flat during lockdown, and you're here to pump people up, motivate them.
Let's give it a go.
But yeah, thanks for coming along, mate. Let's just jump straight into, we got some hot topics on the agenda. But I want to jump straight into giving people a background about who you are, where you're from, all that kind of good stuff. So do you want to give us the spiel?
I'm Justin Davis. I grew up just on the edge of the Cotswolds, mate. It sounds really nice, but it was just north of Swindon. So when you say it's that area, people are like, "What, you from Swindon?" I was like, "No, just north, mate, just north." So, mate, I was so fortunate to grow up in that area, and I was just running about as a young lad, just with sticks and Combat 95s and black boots on, mate. And I think I was always destined to be a squad, So yeah, I kind of didn't do very well at school. Primary school was all right, and then secondary school, just kind of, I guess it was. I just wasn't really into it, mate. I didn't like classrooms. I didn't like sitting down. I didn't like being told, you need to learn in this way, or this is how we're gonna teach you. I just didn't suck it up, mate. It wasn't nice for me. Whether that was a teaching style, whether that was just me being an individual, I don't know. But so secondary school kind of just got through it. I think I left with 2 GCSEs or something. And I think they were in PE, so physical education and design and technology, mate. So
right.
So I think I was always going to be practical. I wasn't going to be outside doing something.
Designing yourself some gains. Yes, that's what you're doing.
Yes,
mate. I wanted to before we go on to the army stuff, man. I want to pick up on some of the stuff you said then, because that's really interesting. Because you're obviously an intelligent lad. I enjoy reading your posts, and it's interesting that you would say that you weren't really kind of feeling it in school, because I think this is something that comes across common with a lot of people. Because you strike me as someone that enjoys learning, right?
I do. I love it. I do. But I think I enjoy learning it kind of how I want to learn. I don't want it forced down my throat. And the curriculum, the way we were taught at that time, I think a lot of the teachers were kind of stand-in teachers, and there was never kind of any I can't even speak. There was never any continuation made through our lessons. So I found it hard to pick it up. I enjoyed history, and like I say, more of the practical things. But outside of that, mate, I was a little shit, to be honest. Basically,
yeah, I like that. I like the idea of these old like schools back in the day, like the Greek kind of way of doing things, where you'd have a lot of, you'd physical education and like your literature and philosophy and everything like that was all, you'd go and hike somewhere and you'd sit on top of the mountain and discuss philosophy. That sounds like a great way of doing things to me.
Yeah, I agree, mate. I agree. And sat in a classroom, and all I was doing was just looking out the window because all I wanted to be is outside, just running about. And I really enjoyed sport at that time, and just generally being active. And I think I just had a lot of like pent up energy, and I just wanted to expend it somewhere. And for me, I couldn't do that and learn at the same time. So I have to be hands on, and I have to be doing something.
One of the interesting things, man, I'm sure this is something that you probably use yourself, is when you're looking out the window as a kid, you get told, don't do that, daydreaming. But then when you get, like, you start looking into successful people when you get older, you're like, oh, they all visualize.
Yeah.
Like, what's the difference between looking out the window and thinking about what you want to do and visualizing? It's the same fucking thing, but we chastise kids for it.
Completely, mate. I think the schooling system has got to be changed, Everything else seems to be advancing at horrendous speeds, But the schooling system, to me, just it seems to be archaic, I don't know whether it's adapting, slightly now, but for me, it just wasn't good.
Yeah, I know, like, it's technology-wise, it's catching up. But again, the problem there is, it depends. Like, if you're in an affluent school, you're going to get more resources to technology. But I think just this principle of asking kids, like, to sit still, and then if you don't sit still, there's something wrong with you. I think that's kind of the biggest problem, and that doesn't matter if you're using iPods or desks or whatever. If you're asking a kid to stay still and they're not, and then you're the naughty kid, you're the misbehaving kid, you're the kid that's looking out of a window. Maybe you're the kid that's got big fucking ideas, big dreams.
Yeah. Or maybe you're branded at an early age with like ADHD or ADD or these types of things, and it's just like maybe you should look a little bit deeper rather than expecting a young person to kind of abide by these rules that you're putting in place. Maybe they can change the system and get people out and about, exactly what you're talking about. Show them something, tell them about it, and then see if they've learned about it or if they enjoy it.
My mates who are teachers, though, they'd probably not be happy if I told them fucking get on a tab, take these kids up to the top of the hill. And I'm not saying it'd be easy by any means to control I'm not saying, like, that could be a fucking nightmare. You got 40 kids and you take them up a mountain.
Yeah.
But, mate, did you ever do any of camps, like, did you ever do any, like, the outdoor education camps through PE and stuff, where you go away to, like, we went to places like Llangranog and, around Better and places. And we went to those places, mate, and those were the best weeks in school I ever had. Did you ever do anything like that, like an AT week, basically?
I don't think we did much of that, to be honest. But like when I was playing football, and I used to play for the year above in football. And they went on a trip to Italy, and it was just a tour around Italy to play the same age group, and I loved it, mate. I loved being around the older kids, and I loved being able to really push on and push myself physically, because that's where I got my most enjoyment from. And I was actually a much better like student or pupil when I had expended that energy. I just feel like it was all there, and to sit down just wasn't going to do it for me.
Yeah, tours are awesome with sports, mate, because as well, like, I think as well, it just sets up a young person better for developing through life, because you get to see a bit of a world, get to do it with your mates, but you also start to build that independence.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that's really lacking from, like, a lot of people growing up now through no fault of their own. If you haven't been given exposure to something, how are you supposed to know how to do it,
Completely agree, mate. And I think that's, going back to our first topic, like earlier on about litter picking. If you haven't been taught that, or, you just don't know that it's the right thing to do, then why are you going to do it?
Let's segue into litter picking, mate.
Yeah, let's go straight to it.
I saw your post earlier and I was like, you know what, this is perfect, because I've been losing my shit. So you still live in the countryside now, are you?
Yeah, I'm like 20 minutes outside Bristol.
Right.
So I'm pretty much in the countryside, little town,
Yeah. So what's happening? You're getting out every day and what? Just seeing? Have you've been seeing an increase in litter during the lockdown? Would you say?
I think, I don't know if it's even. I don't even think it's around the lockdown or not. I think it's in general, man. Wherever you go, just like an example, when I was in Egypt, like last year, diving.
Oh mate, Egypt.
There was litter everywhere, mate, and it
Yeah.
It's terrible, isn't it? And I'm not saying it's one location, but it's worldwide, and I don't know whether it's because of like people just not caring about it, or they're not educated about the subject. or thinking, maybe they're keeping someone else in a job because they're throwing their litter on the floor. It's like, what the fuck are you on about? But yeah, the local area, mate. So I went out cycling this morning. I was out pretty early, just I suppose about 6ish, and mate, I was cycling on this cycle path, and there was just like bags and bags and bags of litter that people had obviously been out into the fields and picked up and placed onto the side, waiting for the council to come and pick them up. But this was a group of 60 and 70-year-olds that were out picking it up in the morning, and it's just like you're just thinking, what's got into people? Like, what's the crack?
I think one of the things, so I live in the countryside, and I've been all for people coming to use the countryside during lockdown. I'm all for it. We're like, the countryside belongs to all of us, but you got to respect it.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things, to be honest, mate, is it's quite often like, and I'm going to generalize, usually younger people that's doing it, and I think that they know that there's just no consequences for their actions. Because when I've told them I'm going to fill them in if they don't pick their stuff up, they pick their stuff up. So
I can imagine they do, mate.
I'm just saying, it's great, mate. You know what? It's funny because it worked better when I had the beard.
Yeah, I bet.
Because basically, they'd be parked there. You just see something coming out of the car, and you just walk up. It's like, do you want to pick that up, or do you need me with you? And I'm like, I'll pick it up.
I'm going to pick it up. I'm going to pick it up. Yeah. Do you know what, mate? I had a thought earlier. Like you'll have numerous people have said to me, like in the past, they'll throw a comment out there that these types of people should be, thrown into the military and the military will sort them out. My response to that is like, would I want to be stood next to a guy, right, in a firefight, and expecting him to save my life when he can't even pick up a bit of rubbish on the floor, or he's throwing it on the floor? Do you know what I mean? It's like, that's a common term. I'm sure you've heard it as well, but it's just,
oh, mate, all the time. And people get mad at you then when you're like, no, I don't think they should do that. Like, what? I thought you were a patriot. It's like, no, mate, I got a fucking brain, and I don't like exactly what you said, mate.
Yeah.
Like, I'd be like, right, mate, service. right. Where's that fucking liner of ammunition for the Gympie? Oh, fucking bin, it was too hard to carry. What?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, if they're not going to carry a plastic water bottle home, they're not going to carry a fucking 800 rounds for your Gympie, are they? Bunch of cunts.
That's it, mate. I'm glad you dropped that in, mate.
So, yeah. So the thing with them, mate, right, is like, this national service thing, I get where they're coming from in principle, but I'm very much for a form of service, because I do think that you should be of service to not necessarily your country, just to your fellow man and to the human race, right? Because I'm sure you found the same thing, mate. When you're doing things like right now, you and me having this chat, as fun as it is for you and me, this chat's going to be good for somebody else here too, and that'll make us feel good, right? When you're of service to people, it helps other people. And the national service thing, I'm thinking, well, why can't we, instead of all those, like those older people that you're mentioning, they're going to feel good for cleaning up that rubbish, even though they're probably going to have a good whine about young people while they're doing it, justifiably so. But it's something like, well, why can't, when you finish school, you go away for a year, again, you're getting away, you're learning to be on your own, you're learning to be independent, and you go up to Scotland, you work on forestry or something, or you go to Sudan and you help on a camp there.
Yeah.
At the moment, if you're a young lad or a young lass and you want to get around and see the world, you have to sign up to an organisation which might ask you to shoot those people.
Yeah.
There's not really anything that's like, there are a few organisations, but it's easy for you and me, like, to go, right, I'm 16, I want to go and get a job, and you get one in the army. But where's those organisations where you go, I'm 16 and I want to go and help people on the other side of the world? Like, it's I think we should be promoting that stuff a lot more.
Totally agree, mate. Totally agree. And I think more of those kind of operations are springing up now, because there's definitely a call for it and a need for it, 100%. But it's just, it's crazy, mate. I mean, is there more that we can do as individuals? Probably is. But you've got, I don't want to generalize, but a lot of the younger generation don't really want to listen to the older generations, do they? And I think, they're getting a little bit rebellious as well now, aren't they? I don't know whether.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, those little fuckers. But I mean, if you walk up to a group of 20-old lads in a park and you say to them, "Listen, lads, you're going to pick this up, aren't you?" And they're going to be like, "Fuck off, mate. Fuck off, mate." You're going to get a load of abuse, generalization. But there's an element of risk in that as well, isn't there? Maybe an older person will go up and say something to them, and they might get filled in. You never know what's going to happen, do you?
Well, this is where the phrasing comes in importantly. So this is what I've started to look. I've started to use a bit of manipulation for, because I don't know if you noticed, mate, but like women manipulate us with their words all the time. They make us do things that we never do because they manipulate us. They're very clever. I've started learning from them, right? So the thing I'll say to young lads now Okay, sometimes I do lose my temper and I go and bang on a window, but that's only if there's a couple of them and I think they don't look very big.
Yeah.
I don't recommend, by the way, but that's just me losing my temper because like I'm probably listening to some kind of political podcast or something and I'm on the edge. I'll put my hand up to that. But if I'm not on the edge, I'll say to them, "Hey lads, can you do me a favour?" And like, let's say for instance they're using like quite rude language and my mum's on the other side of the fence. Say, lads, can you do me a favour? Can you just mind the language, please? And because you've like phrased it like, can you do me a favour? They're more likely to do it. Now, like, oh, lads, can you do me a favour, please? Can you pick up the litter? Because and just lie and go, just one of our sheep choked on something last week and died. So you're not blaming them, but you're giving them an opportunity to be the hero, basically.
Yeah.
Like, because if you run out of your house in your boxer shorts, you got a baseball bat, you're like, pick me fucking rubbish. They're probably going to be like, fuck you off, fuck off, you're not bad.
Yeah.
And they're all going to run off. But if you make them that they're doing you a favour, flips the tables then. Fucking mind games, mate.
I like that.
Mind games.
I'm going to learn from you, mate. I'm going to learn from you. You got a course?
I've got a course. It's called How to Fucking Manipulate Little Chav Cunts and drop the litter around my fucking around my house.
Sign me up.
But to be the thing as well, it's like this one works for people in gyms too, mate. People not picking up their weights. Instead of going, you're going to pick that up, which instantly that'll put my back up. I don't know about you.
Yeah.
Instead of that, you go, oh mate, can you do us a favour? Someone tripped over you last week, and don't want the gym to get fucking sued. Do you mind picking up the weights?
Yeah.
Mind games.
Yeah,
Mind
I like
games,
that, mate.
mate.
Has it worked though? Has that worked?
It works. Like, but you got to keep on it. You got to keep on it about it. I mean, don't get me wrong. I've also squared off to the people in the gym before when they. But the younger people, it does tend to like fucking. Because like you, mate, like with what you're doing, and like if you're a bigger lad, well, some would say that I'm a muscular gentleman. If you like, and there's a young 18-year-old lad in the gym, you don't know it, but he's looking up to you, and he's looking for leadership.
Yeah, of course. I completely agree, man. Completely agree. Yeah, so maybe it is an approach that others can take. And maybe you should reach out to more people and teach them that, mate, I think.
Which is what you and me should be doing on social media, mate, which I think we both try and do, don't we?
Yeah, I mean, I try and inspire, and generally just share more positive stuff, because I want to turn my negative experience of getting blown up into something more positive and just share that, that's kind of my mission.
Yeah, I mean, I'm default negative, mate, so I find it quite hard, but you come across as very, very, very inspirational. But let's go back to what got you into the army in the first place then. Did you have like military connections or
no, mate,
or anyone like that, or was it how'd you find it? How did you actually find the army?
Do you know what, mate? Like at that time, so Afghan was really kicking off, and it was in the news and the media. It was everywhere. So wherever you were, you could see it. So it just really struck a chord with me, and I was 21 at the time. So just going back slightly, I left school and I went and studied to become a bench joiner. That's just making furniture out of wood, isn't it? For those that don't know, but so that was pretty cool, and I did that for about 5 years, and then I decided that I knew there was more for me, and I'd like to be stuck in a workshop inside, it's practical, so that was kind of ticking that side of it. But I had to be out, mate. I still had that energy, I still had that drive, still had that determination, and with Afghan being in the news at that time, I was just like, it just jumped out at me. And I was like, these people that are doing that, for whatever reason they're doing it, is really kind of drawing me in. Whether they're doing it for, Queen and country, for themselves, for a political point of view, it didn't really matter to me. I just saw these people as the individuals that were prepared to put themselves in the line, of harm's way for the greater good, And I was just sold on it as soon as I saw the Afghan war kicking off, mate. So
it's like an excitement element.
Yeah, I was super excited, and I probably had something to prove to myself, mate, if I'm looking deep like that. But I'm not entirely sure what that is yet.
Yeah, so I think that's natural enough. I mean, I hear that quite a lot. Guys joining because they want to see action. What was your kind of like your family's reaction to that? To you going from join into like I want to be in the infantry and go to Afghan?
Yeah, well, my dad wasn't pleased, mate. He was just like, "What do you want to do that for?" I was just like, "Well, because I want to. It's as simple as that. And if I really want to do it, in fact, mate, it was like a calling for me. It was like I've never experienced that before, but honestly, it was like the strongest sensation of just calling me into it. And I was like, well, I have to do it, because everything I think about, like all the kind of the media that I'm observing is just really striking a chord with me, and I had to go and do it. So my dad wasn't very happy by it. He was, to be honest, he hasn't got the drive that I've got. He's not as passionate as I am about certain things, and he's quite happy doing his own thing. Whereas I really had to find a direction for that energy that I had, and I just saw the army as being something that would suit that, down to a T. On the other side, my mum, and she was uber keen. She was like, because her dad was in the RAF, sadly, but he was in there for a good period. He was in there for like 25 years, mate. And he was a good guy. I looked up to him, a lot of respect for him, and she was keen. She was like, yeah, go and do it, because she'd seen, what her father had been through, the kind of the morals and the everything else that had been instilled in him. And she was just like, yeah, go and do it. So there's two completely polar opposite, reactions from them both. And one I had to kind of just push to the side, and the other I had to pull closer. So yeah, that was that, mate. And there was once my mind was made up, there was no, the Queen could have said to me, you're not joining, and I still would have tried to get in. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there was nothing anyone could do.
Do you think that, actually, let me ask you this. Do you get like a lot of kids messaging you now saying stuff like, I want to join the infantry, but I don't know, my parents don't want me to? Do you ever get messages like that?
Do you know what? I don't, actually. I don't. I get, most of my stuff is around amputation. People want to question me about, how do I do certain things, like what equipment do I use?
Spoiler alert.
yeah.
Spoiler alert for the rest of the
podcast. You can edit that out, mate. No, I mean, and when I go and do some of the talking stuff with Blesma, you do get a little bit of that, because you're speaking to impressionable, fairly young guys and girls, and some of them will be like, look, I really want to join. Where's best to go? And you kind of have to be like, well, what do you want to do? Like, who are you as a person? And at that age, you have no idea who you are, do you? So it's just no idea.
Well, you're still figuring it out. You figure it out now. I think what you figure out is that you keep figuring it out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I've not figured it out yet, mate. My path keeps like crisscrossing across life, mate.
But that's fine, mate. But that's what you figured out, is you need to be the person that crisscrosses. Some people are direct line. Some people are meandering. I think what you say about calling, though, is important, mate, though, because like I know there's young people listening to this, and a lot of them are like, oh, how do I tell my parents I want to be in the army? How do I tell them? Like, maybe they don't want me to be in the infantry. And I always say, look, you can't explain. If someone gets it, they get it. It's like whoever you're in love with, some of your mates might look and go, who the fuck is that Yeti? Why would you be in love with her? But then other people will be like, if you are in love with that person, it's the military, like having a call in for the military is more like being in love with someone than looking at a job.
Yeah. Do you know what, mate? And I found actually like looking back, the military was like my tribe. As soon as I got in, I was like, I just clicked. I was like, this is where I'm meant to be. This is what I'm meant to do. And I think that's why I enjoyed going through all the shit so much, and all the exercises, being cold, being wet, what it's like. But I enjoyed it. I generally enjoyed it, So yeah, I don't get too many messages about the military. But when I speak to people face to face, they often ask me if I regret going in, and I'm like, absolutely not. And that's hand on heart, like, because it was a calling. There was no way. How can you regret it? It's like that's what I'm meant to be doing. Every fiber of my body was like, this is where you need to go.
That's awesome, man.
And even the careers office, mate, it was like, the guys in there were just like, you're a qualified joiner. You could go the engineers. You could do this. You could do that. I was like, it's not happening. Just I want to go in the infantry. Like, I don't care. Like, I just want to go in and just see what it's like and experience Afghanistan. That was exactly why. I want to experience war,
Yeah, man, I get it, bro. I get it. So, like, you went to rifles, wasn't it?
Yeah, I went to 2 rifles.
Right. So, so help me out here. Who were 2? I'm a bit older than you, mate. Who were 2 rifles before 2 rifles? Was that one of the green jackets, or was that 1 LI? Or?
Yeah, I know. I think they were 2 RGJ actually.
Right.
I think.
Right.
Yeah. But obviously that's before my time. So.
And you went. What year did you get to the battalion?
So I got to battalion late 2009, early 2010.
So at the time there was there was a rifles. Was that? Hang on, was it 2 rifles out at that time? Was it 4 rifles?
Two rifles came back from like the Sangin area at the time that I joined the battalion. Yeah.
So how many
So
times were you beaten?
mate. So like it's just mate. We came into a shitstorm. We came into a fucking shitstorm, mate, in that battalion. Like blokes would, because they'd had a pretty tasty time in
Yeah.
Sangin. They lost quite a few blokes, and a lot of blokes came back with injuries, like not just physical but psychological. And you could see that in the blokes, mate. You know, the company strength went from like full capacity down to like 50% and then below, because blokes were just fucking thinning out, going AWOL, just going turbo, mate. So there was a lot of that going on, and obviously rocking up in the battalion as a sprog, mate, around that time. You're despised, mate. You're literally despised by everyone. So you're just like fucking hell. So you really had to prove yourself.
I mean, it's not an easy job to come into anyway. But like, so we were out there the same time as they were down in Sangin, and all the time we'd be getting reports, and it'd be like fucking fatality, amputee, like fucking cat A's, cat B's, cat C's, all that, and you'd be like, fucking hell, they're getting spanked. And I can't imagine what that would be like walking into to that. Like all these guys, they're angry, they lost mates, and then like you said, because everyone always goes a bit nuts after a tour anyway. But after a tour, I think to be fair, it's fair to say that battalion on that tour probably got the spanked out of any battalion on any Telic or Herrick tour.
They got hit hard, mate. Especially there was one of the platoons in C Company lost 5 guys in one incident. It was crazy. So them trying to sort that, and actually the guy that kind of squared me away as well was around me, was involved in that incident as well. So those guys have seen a lot of stuff, mate, a lot of stuff.
What was that like for you then going in, because you come in with this idea of I want to go to Afghan? What was it like then telling your new mates, say I want to go to Afghan, and they've just come back and lost mates? Did you realise that was a good thing to keep to yourself, or how'd that go down?
Mate, the battalion was rolling up into the next tour anyway. So the guys, with all due respect, the guys that had come back on that tour, were kind of fucked off in the end, because they were causing more problems than anything else in the battalion.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? So like there was you had the senior rifleman would be like strutting about and be like, because you haven't done a fucking tour, you're going to do this and this, and that's fine, like for a period of time, but then when the chain of command are noticing this and noticing that it's actually impacting the new guys coming through and they're not operating how that they're meant to be operating, then it's time to fucking thin those blokes out. And a lot of those blokes did get thinned out, and that's when the mood of the battalion changed, because then it started gearing up for the next tour, and all the people that didn't want to be on that tour got fucked off, and that was a good thing,
Yeah, mate, I'm dead against taking anyone on tour that doesn't want to be there.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, there's no need in it. Like, there's no need in it whatsoever. Like, we had people come out with us on that tour who didn't want to be going, because you know what? We were going to Afghanistan in summer 2009. We knew we weren't all coming back.
Yeah.
And I was just like, well, just get rid of them. I'd much rather have 100 blokes that want to be there than 120 with 20 of them that don't, because they're just going to bring everyone else fucking down.
So I kept in touch with the company sergeant major of a company, and he's such a respected guy, Terry Rafferty, MC no less, and like he just walk about, mate, and he just like, he didn't have to say anything. He had that level of respect, and at that point he was just like, I spoke to him probably 4 years after kind of our tour, and he was just like, that company, when we got rid of all those fucking deadwood, from the previous tour, he said that was the best company I've ever been around. And like, that's saying something, considering he'd done a tour every year for 10 years. It was nuts, to hear that from him. So I really respect the guy.
Did you think anything would happen to you, or did you have the squaddy cloak of invincibility?
No, mate, I didn't. Do you know what? There was a period, actually, like probably, I think, just before we deployed, maybe 2 weeks before we deployed, I was walking around my Z-type accommodation, like just using one hand, like opening doors and picking things up. And I was like, I wonder what it's like to fucking lose my arm. And little did I know. So yeah, I did, mate, honestly. And that's quite a vivid memory for me. Like, actually, like visualizing and going through it. I was like, what's this actually going to be like if I get injured or get hit? But saying that, like, you never think it's going to be you.
No,
Like, I don't know. You don't, do you?
no,
No
not at
matter where you are.
not at first. No, not at first.
Yeah.
And then when it happens to you, when it happens to someone close to you, then you're like, oh,
Yeah. You're like, fuck.
okay. And then that's when it. Well, but what was were you guys? Did you have quite dark banter about it? Was it something that you joked about?
Yeah, of course, mate. I mean, the spoil. I think the cat's out the bag now, mate. But like,
Cat's out of the bag.
cat's out the bag, mate. The rabbit's out the hat. But like, mate, I remember. I think it was a day or two before I got blown up. Literally, mate, we were sat in a group of four, and Bowen, this lad next to me, just goes, Tom Bowen. He's an influential lad, but that comes later in the story. But we all sat there in a group of four in a checkpoint, and he's literally just like, mate, if you get your wheels blown off, mate, I'm having those gloves. Because I had a nice set of gloves. It wasn't Oakleys or anything. It was just a nice set of gloves. And he was just like, I'm having those fucking gloves. I was like, no worries, mate, you can have them. And a fucking day later, mate, honestly, when I got whacked, mate, he came over to me on the floor because he had to search over to me. He was search trained as well. And he came over. He's like, I'm having them fucking gloves now. I'm like, yes, I was like, right.
Oh, mate.
I was like, right, well, give me a fag then, because I smoked at that time. I was like, give me a fag. And he's like that. I've only got one left. So fucking give me twos on that fag. We're arguing over a cigarette, mate, and I have my legs just blown off.
Oh, it's fucking classic.
Yeah.
This is why I love squad.
Yeah, it's great.
That's the best. That's fucking awesome. So, cool. Let's talk about Afghan then, mate. Were you getting out of the ground? You doing a bit of pew pew pew, all that kind of stuff? Or it wasn't first day, was it? You got blown up?
No, it wasn't. It was 6 weeks in. 6 weeks in, I got blown up, mate. I know, like, and you know what, mate? Mate, like, just to relive that, like, I was so gutted, like, and I don't think I've ever been heartbroken like that before. But it's literally like having your, the rug was firmly pulled out, mate, from under my feet. But I just, like, from that moment, I just knew that everything I'd trained for, pushed for, and not just since I've been in, but like 2 years before, building myself up to it, going, like, telling your family and everything else you're going to joining, going through training, go through depot, like doing a winter course in North Yorkshire. It's howling, isn't it? But then, getting through everything like that, and you're like, get to battalion, build up for 18 months in battalion, then go on tour, then 6 months later or 6 weeks later, you're fucking back home. You're just like, that killed me, mate. Like, on the inside, I was like, fucking, I was devastated. Like, more so than being injured,
Yeah, well, I'm sure. I want to dig into that. But that first 6 weeks, was it quite kinetic? Were you getting a lot of contacts? Was there IEDs? Because what year are we talking about here, mate? What was it? 2012?
No, this is 2011, right at the end of 2011. And it seemed like the AO was kinetic, but like it seemed to be all around our checkpoint.
Right.
So everyone else was getting smashed. Like, you hear the Americans and 5 rifles were out. I think they're out to our east, further out to our east, and you just hear contact, out to the south, contacts to the north, contacts. You're just like, why is it so fucking quiet here? Like, what's going on? So it was the Taliban had just laid in the area with IEDs. So and previously I think it was one of the commando regiments were down there, and anyway, and three power in there before as well. So they'd pushed the flat right back, down towards more south towards Helmand River. So the Taliban weren't really pushing up to our location, and I guess that's testament to those boys that were fighting on the ground before we got there. Yeah, there were a few shoot and scoots, mate. On the first kind of patrols that went out, they'd follow us up and let off a couple of bursts and that, but it wasn't that kinetic at the start. I think it picked up quite a lot after I left, though, which was, again, fucking unfortunate, mate. I was just like, for fuck's sake, all the blokes are telling me about these contacts and what's going on, and people getting fucking blapped up. I'm just like, oh my god.
Yeah. Well, there should be some kind of role, like, if you've lost your leg, you should be allowed to go in and just man a Sangha.
Mate, Top Gunner or something, like, just anything. I'll do anything, mate. Like, just take me back.
Little bungee from the top of the Sangha, mate.
Yeah. Sling, mate. Just sit in it.
Yeah.
Happy with that.
I can't imagine how much that would suck, mate. But you know what? You hear it all the time about blokes getting taken out. Like, so what happened on the patrol? Were you Valin man? Were you? Or?
Yeah, so I was point man on this one, mate, and it was like, there's so many like small coincidences that lead up to me getting injured, but there were only 3 of us that were search trained. So and we were on QRF that day, so it's a pretty exciting day, to be honest. So it started with one of our commander from a sister platoon, one of the platoon sergeants. He got injured in an IED strike in the morning, and we had to bounce down to them and to sort of cordon out and make sure he got extracted out of that contact. And he basically, there was a DFC mate just laid the side of the track, and he walked past it, and it's just fucking fired a load of shrapnel out, and a bit's gone straight through his leg and out the other side, so it's through and through. But a very interesting, funny story about that, mate, is that he was a green jacket, mate, and you cut that bloke, and he's green on the inside. He was as green as could be, mate. There was nothing else on this planet for him than the green jacket. Anyway, so he had the green jacket tattoo on his leg, and this piece of shrapnel went straight through that, right, and out the other side. And then I actually saw him in hospital. So after I got injured, he came down to intensive care unit, and I remember lying in intensive care, and his leg just is out straight, and this leg comes around the corner, then followed by like these two wheels, and this geezer just like popping around the corner, and he had a thick Brummie accent. So he was like, "What the fuck are you doing here, Davo?" Because he didn't know I got injured, obviously, right. Like because he'd been injured in the morning. Anyway, he showed me his leg, and like the tattoo had been put back together, like it was like kind of like half and half, but like it wasn't in the right place. So he was absolutely gutted about that.
I'm going to say another tattoo one. I don't know this lad's name, so I apologise. But yeah, the Liverpool tattoo, it says "You'll never walk alone." And he lost his leg, and where they folded the tattoo over it says "You'll never walk."
Mate,
and
the surgeon's having a laugh there.
If anyone knows the lad's name, fucking shout him out, because that was hilarious. Right? But I just want,
mate, that is cool.
I'm not sure on his name, mate. I just saw the picture. I saw the picture of me. I just want to pick up on something you said, mate. You're saying there was only 3 of you that were search trained. So, like, on that tour then, by the time you went on that one, because that's not something we did, ours was just like, right, there's a Valin, go and do the Valin. So you guys had actually gone off on a proper course?
Yeah. I think it was, I can't remember exactly where it is. We went to one of the engineer regiments, mate, and literally went through a proper search course. And I think it was a 2-week course. It might be slightly less, slightly longer, but it was proper in depth, and it was I think the hierarchy wanted to actually form a search team. So if we didn't have access to an engineer search team, then we could be called upon to do any search ops. Yeah. At the time, we were like, yeah, great, we're out of work for like 2 weeks. We can just go on the piss every night and go on this course, maybe gleaming. Awesome course though. But obviously not for me. But
I was going to say, what grade did you get on the course?
Shouldn't have been on the piss every night, mate. So bounced down, did that course. Came back to battalion as a search trained guy, and so there's a team of us, I suppose, a team of 8, maybe slightly more, with a commander, and that was our role, would be search. But we actually just got split down into the companies in the end, so so each platoon just had a small search, kind of multiple, I guess. 3 of us, mate, search trained, and all of our kit was just always, in a QRF, all our kit is just laid out, ready to go, isn't it? So all the weapon systems for each individual laid out, and all their kit and equipment is good to go for specific roles. And when the call came in, the second call for this ambush that had happened. So after we dealt with the platoon sergeant in the morning, we came back, and we'd been stood up and stood down most of the day, probably on 5 minutes notice to move most of the day. And so this call comes in, and I'm just stood next to the search equipment, and the other two guys are up doing whatever, stag or whatever. And so it's bang, I just pick it up without a thought, and that's it. I'm leading the patrol. But like, I would always switch between leading the patrol and being cover man anyway. And I really liked the cover man role, because I was close to the front of patrol, and I felt like I was actually, I was actually doing a really important role, and it was really important to me to cover the guy that's doing the important searching task. Yeah, mate, and the guy that was usually point man, he was then my cover man, and that was Tom Bowen, and he was the one that took my gloves, but also gave me 2s on a cigarette, so I can't hold it against him.
Fair play.
So the call comes in, mate. Pick up the kit, and we start to bounce down towards this contact. And I think it was the PWRR that got ambushed. And I heard later on that they'd actually strayed into our AO, but that's from one of the other blokes. And one of the other blokes commented on a thing, and he just said, "Look, if it didn't stray onto our fucking AO, they wouldn't have got waxed, and then you wouldn't have got waxed." So there was quite a bit of like tension between the boys and that other call sign. The PWRR got ambushed, mate. We bounced down to there, and I must have been, a couple of 100 meters away from that contact, and because I remember like hearing the rounds and the gunfire becoming louder and louder. You could see the smoke in the distance and the tree lines and that. So you're just like, fucking hell, like we're gonna get some now. This is it. Like, let's get into it. And to this day, mate, I do not know if I was like rushing to get there quickly, or like my drills are just shit, or for whatever reason. But we had to clear through the tree lines and the irrigation ditches, and as you will probably know, that to utilize a ladder to get over the irrigation ditch was much quicker, rather than searching through the water for command wires and everything else. Stripping that time away that we could be down there at contact, extracting that call sign. Essentially, mate, cleared through quite a sparse tree line. And I remember like having the ladder down as well and walking across the ladder. And my memory tells me that the first step off the ladder was the one that I got hit. Now, like, I remember like just observing, and then the next thing I know, I'm lying on my back and I'm looking at the sky, and all I can hear is just a ringing in my ears, man. And everything is numb. Like my legs are just like tingling, real severe pins and needles. Like I can see a bit of my nose is like sticking up in my eye line, so I thought my face was like blown. I thought my face was fucked because it was all numb from the explosion. And I just remember lying on the floor, mate. I was like, fuck. And I honestly thought that I was going to wake up. I was like, I'm in my bed space, like in the checkpoint. Like, I'm going to wake up in a minute. Let's dream. And I was like, a couple of seconds must have gone past me. I was like, I'm not fucking waking up. Like at this point, I was just like, fuck. And then I was just like, right, I've obviously been fucking hit, because you can hear like muffled man down above like the ringing in my ears. And I'm thinking, fuck, what was that? Was that like fucking RPG? Was it UGL? Was it fucking IED? Like, what the fuck was it? Command wire? Because I considered myself to be pretty vigilant, when I was on, especially heading towards an ambush. I was fucking like uber switched on at that point, and so like keen and excited to get down to the contact point. But mate, at that point my heart fell out. Like genuinely, like at that point I was just like, that's fucking me, mate. Like honestly, like, and it was one of the blokes literally had to fucking grab my chin strap and fucking whack my head off the floor, and he was like, you're not going to die. Because I was there like, I was dying. Like, I was literally dying, and I was like, I'm fucking dying. I am dying. And he was like, you're not going to fucking die. It's like a Hollywood movie, mate. And he must have fucking wrapped my head off the floor a couple of times. He was like, you're not fucking dying, honestly. Like, we've got you. Like, and it had to have that aggressive tone just to fucking snap me out of that. And I was like, right, cool. Give me the fucking morphine. Give me a cigarette. I'm good to go. Well, not good to go fucking anywhere, mate, but I'm in the hands of those guys going to square me away. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, mate, my world fell apart then. And Ginge was the guy that I was talking about earlier that was involved with the other incident with the C Company lads, where five blokes got killed. And he just comes over, mate, and he actually got to me first. So he didn't even use anyone to search, mate. He just fucking literally ran. He was a section commander, but he was a very good mate of mine as well. And he literally just ran from his position, in the call sign straight up to me, mate, without any consideration for his own safety, and just fucking started issuing me, life-saving support. And I just remember him putting his hands down my trousers, and he was like, don't worry, mate, your balls are still there. Your balls are still there. I was just like, I was like, cheers, mate.
He'd been waiting for that chance for months.
He's been waiting for that for years, mate, for literally his whole career. And I was like, fuck off, Ginge. But yeah, mate, and mate, it was horrendous, fucking horrendous.
So sorry, but were they gone, or were they shredded, or what was it like?
Yeah. So at this point, I'm lying on my back, right, and I know obviously something is bad, because I'm trying to sit up and I can't sit up, and they're just fucking holding me down. I'm like, fuck's sake. So I'm in dramas. I'm having fucking drama here. So anyway, so all Ginger's doing, he's looking for my tourniquets. He's like, we fucking can't find your tourniquets. And I'm, Ginger, they're fucking in my search. They're in my pouch there on that side. Just fucking grab them out. He's like, can't find them. I'm like, Ginger, they're there. Eventually he finds his tourniquets and fucking slaps them on, or starts putting them on. Then Tom Bowen searches the medic up to us, and Jules, and she is an absolute legend as well. You might know Jules, but we'll talk about that after. But she's an absolute legend, mate. She gets to me, mate, and the boss gets to me, and it's not until she says to the boss, "Yeah, double amputee," that I then go,
No.
fuck. And I clicked and I went, and that's when I just started, mate, I just started fucking going, I just started going, you cunt. I'm sorry for using that word, but this is how I was talking, at that point. And I was so gutted, so gutted for myself that I'd lost that. But not only, for myself, it was, the other guys that were in contact as well. Like everything had to switch. The operation completely changed, from us, QRF, multiple, moving in a 2-up formation to go and intercept the Taliban, cut them off and get involved with them, to then, completely changing to, casualty extraction drill, mate. And I was so annoyed with myself, and I just lying on the floor, mate, just going, fuck's sake, you cunt. And I wasn't even annoyed at the Taliban or the enemy or anyone. It was just myself, like purely like anger towards myself, just like rage, mate, and just disappointment, really. Completely gutted. So, mate, when they banged, a shot or two of morphine into me, like my adrenaline came right down, and I just chilled. And I was literally lying on the floor and just let them go to work on me. There's nothing I could do. I was like in a zone, mate, just kind of zoned out. And they just went to work on me, like, and literally saved my life, mate. So 25 minutes later, the Merc gets to us, and lying on the floor, mate, for 25 minutes, like in that condition, you're just like, fucking hell, man, like, this is horrendous. Like, and I just remember being like, because I was lying on the floor, I could see my hand, because my hand got a little bit damaged as well, my forearm as well. I remember lying on the floor, and my hand was in my line of sight.
Sorry, mate, I just got to tell because this won't be on video.
Yeah,
so you just said my hand's a little bit damaged, missing 2 fingers.
Yeah, like missing 2 fingers, mate, and like honestly, like my wrist took quite a bit of force from the explosion, from the blast, and my forearm was peppered, mate. It was just peppered. And so I remember lying there, and my hand was in my vision, and I was just like, it just looked bent and twisted, and like 2 of my fingers were hanging off. I was just like, fucking hell, man. And I was like, if my hand is that damaged, and at that point I could see my nose was kind of like, a little bit of my nose was sticking up, so I assumed that my face was blown to bits as well. And I was just like, fuck. And I remember just looking at Ginger going, is my face all right? My face all right? Like, and he was like, your face is fine, shut the fuck up. And I was just like, all right, cool. And just lying, literally just lying there, just like, all right, cool, happy days. Like, what's happened? You haven't got your legs. You haven't got your fucking legs, mate. But you got your balls. I was like, fuck's sake.
Get your balls, get your face.
Yeah. So I was like, all right, I've done all right out of that. I'm doing all right. So my left hand was fine. My left hand and my left arm wasn't touched, mate, not at all. And lying on the floor, mate, 25 minutes or so, Merc comes in, and I just remember like the brown out and all the dust and the mud just covering me again, and like them, all the blokes and girls jumping over me to cover me, and to limit all the infection and everything else. And it was fucking horrendous, and they couldn't get any lines into me, mate. So all my veins had collapsed, all my fluids were draining out my body, and fucking hell, mate, there was like, I must have had minutes left, mate. Do you know what I mean? I want to be dramatic, but there can't have been very much longer left.
Yeah.
And the guys, I remember, mate, bouncing, because the field they were casivacking me across was like quite deep mud. I know the guys were hanging out, mate, trying to get me across that, fucking dropping me on the floor, just literally like digging out blind to get me across there, mate. And I can't thank them enough for it. But we get to the back of the Chinook, mate, and this RAF Reg geezer steps off, and he's like, you can't fucking come on with ammunition. You can't come on the back with any ammunition. And the screws like around me were just like, are you fucking crazy? Like gripping this geezer, mate. And fucking the boss wrote, I don't know what the boss did, but he wrote something, and it went up the chain of command. So they weren't happy about that, mate.
Have a word, RAF Reg.
Have a word, guys. Come on, fucking hell. You've all got ammunition anyway. So they were like, can't have a weapon, can't have ammunition. Fucking take it off. So there was all this to and fro on the back of the Chinook, when like wasting time. We should have been up in the air and gone, mate. The Taliban were en route to us, sending sniper teams up to our position, all kind of shit, mate. So we could have lost, a Merc team, a Chinook, all kinds of stuff could have happened. So there's things to learn. Well, there's things to learn in this, mate. There's learning points. But anyway, mate, I'm lying on the back of the Chinook, mate, and the Merc team just go to work, mate, and they just strip me fucking bollock naked, like lying on the floor, mate. It's just a horrendous experience, and like all these people just buzzing around. You can't hear anything because it's so loud, man, and everyone's just literally just communicating with each other, like trying to get lines into me all the time. And like the last thing I remember, mate, is them just fucking putting the line into my sternum. because it couldn't get it in any. Yeah, oof, yeah. So they
That's
couldn't get it in
middle of the
anywhere else.
chest for you people who aren't learned doctors.
Oh, middle of the chest, mate, into
Yeah.
that bone there. And I remember this guy. I remember this guy just straddling me, mate, and he just stood over the top of me, and I remember looking at him, mate, through like hazed vision, and he just put this thing on my chest, and it just felt like he just went bang, and he just punched this thing into my chest, and I
Oh
literally
man.
at that point, that's the last thing I remember. At that point, I just went, ugh, and I reached up to grab him, but at that point, like I passed out,
Wow.
and at that point, I was like, I've died. Honestly, I was like, that's death. I was like, that's death. I don't know if I died or whether it was just the shock and the meds, everything, bang, massive influx. But it was like the last hurrah, mate. You know, when an animal, like
Yeah.
the freeze response. It was kind of like my arm got up so far, then it froze, and then that was it, mate. I woke up in the UK.
Woke up in
I was
the
like,
UK.
fuck. I woke up in the UK.
Wow. Fucking hell, mate. That's pretty epic. Woke up in the UK, looked down, saw no legs, I suppose.
No. I woke up in the UK, mate, and like obviously you're like going from where I was on the ground in Afghan en route to this ambush. So that's the last thing I remember. I don't remember getting blown up.
Oh, you
And
don't
then
remember it?
don't remember getting blown up, mate.
You didn't remember it, and then it
No,
came back to you. Like it came
no,
back to you.
don't remember getting blown up. And then I came round in intensive care, surrounded by I could only see 3 walls in front of me and a ceiling and a clock, and I could hear beeping machines, and I was like
Whoa.
restricted in movement. So this is how I came round, right? And there's no word of a lie. I was dreaming when I was in intensive care. I was dreaming that I was back in Afghan, and I was in a Sanger, and we got hit by an RPG, and my chin strap somehow from my helmet got into my mouth, and it was choking me. That was the dream, right? When in fact I was led in my bed in ICU, and I was pulling out all the tubes out from the feeding tubes and everything else coming up my throat. So I'm pulling these tubes out, right, and I'm choking and I'm coughing, and that's what brings me round. That's the first time I've come round since I got blown up.
Fuck.
So, mate, like my parents are sat there, like the 24-hour like nurses literally sat there, and as I'm kind of coming round, I'm trying to fight because the last thing I remember, I'm in Afghan, and I've just woken up from a dream where I've literally just been blown up, and I'm choking at the same time. So it's fight or flight, and I'm pinned down in this bed. In reality, all these lines are in me, like stitched into me, and everything is. My arms in a huge pressure bandage. My legs won't work. My body feels absolutely trashed and it's broken. I can barely move, and I wake up and I'm just like, what the fuck is going on? Like I had about 3 or 4 minutes where I was just literally just like in another zone, mate. Like there was no control over me. Like, there was nothing I could do about it. It was a proper, involuntary reaction. And so the last thing I remember is them sort of pinning me down and being like, fucking hell, this is where you are. This is what's happened. You're okay. You're sound. Mate, this sounds like it's out of a Hollywood movie, but this is a fact, And I just remember looking at my parents, and they were just like fucking devastated, absolutely devastated. And they were just like, because I was fucking, my eyes were just like I was ready to fight or do anything. There's no way I could fight, so I was pinned down. So it's like sheer aggression coming out. And so that was a really traumatic time, not only for them but for me and everyone in that room. And then kind of I chilled out and got my bearings and worked out what had happened. They filled me in on the details. And then I looked down, at first I observed like my arm was in this pressure bandage thing, and it was really painful. I was like, fucking hell, like my arm's really painful. Like, fucking hell, that's all right. But my left hand is fine. And I looked down, mate, towards the end of the bed, and where you should, because I'm covered in sheets, but where you should see like your feet kind of making an impact in the sheets at the end, like where your toes are sticking up, that wasn't there. And I was just like, I had to take like a minute. I was just like, what the fuck? Like, where am I? Like, what's going on? Like, is this a meds, drugs? Because I was hallucinating all kinds of shit, mate. And then like when I worked it out that my legs been blown off, mate, I was just like, my heart ripped out of my body again. I was like, fuck's sake. I was like, no way. So at that point, I was like, right, my arm's fucked. My right arm's fucked, like, but it's still there. My legs are gone. The lower legs are gone. But what have I got? My left arm's all right. That's fine. I've got my vision. I've got my hearing. So at that point, I started to build myself, and I started to paint the picture again of what my life could potentially be like. So at that point, it was really about the positivity. It was really, and that naturally came out of me. I didn't have to force it. It was just like, right, cool. This is what's happened. I'm not going to let it fucking get in the way. I'm just going to crack on, use what I've got, and push through it. And that is where the fight started, mate. And it served me well, to have that kind of mentality throughout.
Before we go into that, mate, I wanted to ask you about PPE. So you said you still got your balls, you still got your vision. Mm-hmm. Were you wearing goggles and combat nappy?
Yes.
Wow.
Not goggles, but just like just normal, ballistic eye pro, mate. Yeah. And to be honest, probably saved my eyesight, mate. And I'm very, very fortunate that I was wearing them, because I'm actually really, grateful that our chain of command were like, you are not fucking going out on the ground unless you're wearing this, and this, because they'd just been on Herrick 9 or Herrick 10. And they'd seen blokes getting absolutely smashed to bits, and they were literally like, you are not leaving the checkpoint unless you have got this, and this. And if you do, and you're out on the ground, you take it off, I'm going to fucking fill you in. And it was like, fair enough. And that's the way it was, So I'm just grateful that it was, we had couple of decent chain of commands that were for the blokes, properly for the blokes,
See, mate, it ties us into the littering. You're threatening to fill people in, shit gets done.
It works, mate. It works wonders.
That's how it is, man. Thanks so much for coming on, mate. You are inspiration to me, and I'm sure you're inspiration to the listeners. Thanks so much, buddy. We'll catch you next time,
mate. Thank you, man. Really appreciate it. Love to be on, mate, and hope to see you soon. Take care, won't you?
Right, guys, as I said at the beginning of the podcast, we've got so much to talk about with Justin that we are going to have him back in on Monday. What a fucking bloke, right? If you're not inspired after that, then I do not know what will inspire you fat, lazy slags. I'm sorry, guys. I'm just lashing out. I'm so fucking full of enthusiasm and excitement now after having a good chat with Justin. I'm ready to fucking roll. Thank you so much for being here. If you're not too offended about me calling you a fat, lazy slag, if you'd like to go over to Amazon and order a copy of Brothers in Arms in paperback, then me would love you long time. And if you won't order a copy, then I'll call you a fat, lazy slag again. How about that? Right. How about saying thank you to our sponsors? I love you guys so much. I really appreciate it. And the people I appreciate with all my heart are you noble listeners. Thank you so much for coming along week in, week out, giving me some reasons to get out of bed. I fucking love you. Man. Back with Justin on Monday. Whatever you're doing this weekend, I hope you have a great time. Unless you're doing something which is a bit fucked up. If you're going out there looking at... No, I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it. I'll get the fucking episode, but just go out there and have a great time and be whoever you want to be. Listen to this episode 2-3 times. Get inspired. Go conquer some fucking shit. And then we'll be back with Justin on Monday for another round of massive inspiration. Let's go! Okay, now. I love you. Bye.
Yeah. Listen. Shout out Teaser. You told me not to worry, and you wouldn't break my heart. You told me you were sorry, yeah, my whole world fell apart. You said it's not my fault, and yeah, I've never done you wrong. I'm grinding to a halt, now I can see you're moving on. I promised I'd get better, and I told you things would change. You keep me to the gutter, yeah, I'll never be the same. I've gotta let you go, now live your life and spread your wings. And yeah, you put on quite a show, and pulled the puppet strings. And are you sure that you don't want me? Remember all the pain, or maybe you should thank me. It's your loss and my gain. I'm leaving now forever, I won't hang my head in shame. But yeah, you've taken me for granted, and you should feel ashamed. You sold a dream to all of us, a dream that we'd all die for, a reason for us all to live and something we could fight for. I might just help a man up to his feet or hold a newborn, but no matter what I do, my hands remembering my rifle, yeah.
Life's hard, I know that, still wouldn't change shit. I wouldn't go back, yeah, I wouldn't go back. Feelings I hold back, memories fade, yeah, they go fast, yeah, they go fast. Good times to come and go, survive the highs and lows, just take it step by step, I guess, yeah, I suppose. Good times to come and go, survive the highs and lows, just take it step by step, I guess, yeah, I suppose.